I paid the bills. Every single month, without fail. The lights stayed on, the fridge was full, and the school fees were paid. I stayed loyal to my wife for over 40 years. I never raised my voice in anger at my children, never hit them, never came home drunk, never embarrassed them in front of their friends. By every measure I understood at the time, I was a good man, and I believed that. I genuinely believed that being a good man was the same thing as being a good father. It took me until I was nearly 70 to understand that those are two completely different things, and that you can spend a lifetime being one while failing entirely at the other. The confusion started early, I think. My own father was a hard man, not cruel, but distant in the way that men of his generation were trained to be. He provided. That was his definition of love, and it was the only definition I was ever given. So when I became a father myself, I took that same blueprint and built my life around it. I worked, I provided, I protected. And I told myself that everything I was doing was for them, for my family, for my children's future. That was the story I told myself for 30 years. And the problem with a story you've been telling yourself for that long is that you stop questioning whether it's true. What I was actually doing, if I'm honest about it now, was building a career. I was good at my work. I was respected. I had colleagues who admired me, clients who trusted me, and a reputation I had spent decades earning. And none of that is wrong in itself. A man should take his work seriously, but I took it so seriously that everything else quietly moved to the edges of my life, without me ever making a conscious decision for that to happen. My wife would tell me about something one of the children had done that day. Something small, something a child does, and I would be listening, but I wouldn't really be there. My mind was already back at the office, already on the problem I'd left unresolved, already planning the next morning. I was present in the room, but absent in every way that mattered, and I didn't see it. I genuinely did not see it. There were things I missed, not the big things. I was there for the graduations, the birthdays, the important occasions I had circled on the calendar. I mean the small things. The Tuesday afternoon when my son came home from school, quiet and troubled, and needed someone to notice. I didn't notice. I was on a call. My daughter went through a period when she was about 14 where she pulled away from me. She stopped talking at dinner, stopped asking me things. I told myself it was just teenage years, just a phase, the way fathers tell themselves those things. It wasn't a phase. She had simply stopped expecting me to be available. And at 14 years old, she had already made her peace with that. I didn't find that out until she told me, 30 years later, in a conversation I wasn't ready for. That conversation happened about 5 years ago now. She wasn't angry. That's the thing that stays with me. If she had been angry, I think I could have handled it better. But she was just honest. Quietly and clearly honest. The way adults are when they've already done the grieving, and they're just left with the facts. She told me that she had always felt like she had to earn my attention, that she grew up feeling like she was in competition with my work, and she never won. She said it without bitterness. She said it the way you describe the weather. And I sat there listening to my daughter describe her childhood, and I didn't recognize the father she was describing. And yet, somewhere that couldn't lie to itself, I knew everything she was saying was true. I think about my son differently now, too. He became a man who keeps his emotions close, who doesn't reach out easily, who can be in a room full of people and still seem unreachable. People say he's like me. They mean it as a compliment, I think. It doesn't feel like one anymore. I look at him and I wonder how much of that distance he learned from watching me. How many years did he spend waiting for his father to put the briefcase down and just sit with him? And how that waiting slowly turned into something he carried into his adult life, without even knowing where it came from. I was never a bad man. I want to be clear about that, not to excuse myself, but because it's true, and because I think it matters. I didn't neglect my family out of selfishness in any simple sense. I worked the way I worked because I believed it was love, expressed in the only language I'd been taught. I thought providing was protecting. I thought being responsible was the same as being present. And by the time I understood the difference, my children were grown. And the years I should have been differently present in were simply gone. You cannot go back into a childhood that has already happened and be a better father inside it. That is the particular weight of this kind of regret. It doesn't arrive with a clear moment of failure you can point to. It arrives slowly, the way light fades in the evening. And one day you look up, and you realize it's dark. My grandchildren are young now. The oldest is 9, and I am different with them than I ever was with their parents. My children see that, and I don't know entirely what they feel when they see it. I hope something in them softens. I hope it doesn't just hurt. I try not to need their forgiveness too openly, because I think needing their forgiveness would still be making it about me. And I've done enough of that. What I owe them now is honesty and love without conditions, and to stop waiting for the right moment, because I have lived long enough to know that the right moment is almost always just the moment you're standing in. If you're watching this and your children are still young, still in your house, still at the age where you are their whole world, I want you to hear this not as a confession, but as something I wish someone had said to me plainly, without softening it. The work will still be there tomorrow. The call can wait. The problem at the office will either solve itself or it won't. But your child is standing in the kitchen right now, wanting to show you something, and that moment will not come again. I know how easy it is to believe you have more time. I know how easy it is to tell yourself that providing is loving. I told myself that for 30 years. I was a good man. I just wasn't present enough to be the father they needed. And I have to live with knowing both of those things at once, for whatever years I have left.